Hello and welcome to Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I'm your host, Karen Seltz. I'm so excited that I have the Manifestation Priestess, Deimanté Ona, with me today. She is a mindset and energetics coach and the creator of the Magnetic Manifestation Method. She helps soul-driven women activate their inner magic, energetically align with their desires, and heal their subconscious blocks to abundance and success so they can rise in their divine feminine creatrix power and magnetize their dream lives and businesses into reality with ease and pleasure. Welcome, Deimanté.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm really excited too. I love this topic. There's a lot of buzz around manifestation, and I'm going to ask you, like, what are some of the myths that you hear about manifestation? I know we didn't talk about this, but that came to me.
Yeah, anything that comes to you, you can flow with it. I love it. Yeah, honestly, there are so many, so much so that I even talk about it in like my programs and my workshops and my content. But I would probably say probably the biggest one that kind of I'm gonna give you probably two that kind of like annoy me the most.
I love
Is
that.
one that people think that you don't have to do anything. They think
Mm.
it's like you decide what you want. Maybe like you just create like a vision board or you write in your journal 5 times and it's just like gonna fall out of the sky. They're just gonna go back to watching Netflix, chilling on a couch, and that like sports car is just gonna show up in the driveway. So that's not
Popularized,
true. That's
popularized by the movie The
so
Secret,
great.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of like they leave. I feel like The Secret, if anybody's listening, The Secret, the book or the movie, I feel like it's a really, really good introduction into maybe manifestation, but they miss like so many steps. It's not accurate. So I feel like people watch it and they think that's all it is, and then it doesn't work, and they're like, well, it's just a bunch of,
Right.
um, yeah. So I would say that's probably like the biggest one that most people think is that you don't have to take action. And then I would probably say the second one that also kind of is definitely a really big misconception is that you have to feel good all of the time to manifest what you want. And I feel like you'll probably know what I'm talking about, but it feels like there's almost this like toxic positivity movement in the personal development or spiritual community, hashtag good vibes only.
Yes.
And that is also absolutely not true. In fact, inside my work, we actually do a lot of like deep shadow work and integrations and healing things and triggers and beliefs. And you have to feel them to heal them. So I just want to let you know that I feel like when someone is like, okay, I'm gonna, do this thing, I'm gonna manifest my goals, and then they have a really bad day and then they beat themselves up about it and they feel awful for feeling awful. But it's like, we are humans. No matter how good our life is, we're always gonna have fluctuating hormones and mood swings, and maybe your burst of tire as you're driving and it's gonna annoy you, and you can still manifest your dream life despite all of the human things that happen.
That's so beautiful. And I bet it's such a relief for people to hear that.
I hope so, yeah, because I think it's just, yeah, it's so unhealthy to think that you have to just be this like super, super positive all the time. And of course, the goal is to be happy uh, with everything, but it's just knowing that you don't have to be happy and enthusiastic and positive 100% of the time to manifest what you want.
Ah, I love that. I'm glad that you pointed that out. I want to back up because people who see you now see that you're happy and you have a beautiful relationship, you have a baby, you have abundance, you have a successful business. But what was it like before you had that? And what were the pivotal moments that led you to say, enough is enough? I'm going to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah. And first of all, I just thank you for asking that. And I think it's so important that we talk about that, because I think sometimes when we see someone who may be like a little bit further in their journey, or there's somewhere where we want to be, it can be, yeah, it can be hard to relate to them. And you can think, well, it's so easy for this person, but they don't know where I am, or they don't know what I'm going through. And I think what we don't realize is that everyone is on their own individual journey. And yes, I feel so, I feel so blessed. I am absolutely living the life of my dreams. And it totally, you're right, was not always like this. And it's funny because I totally do have this almost like, I call it my real life movie moment that was just so pivotal and changed everything. So I'm going to back up. So this was about 5.5 years ago. And I lived in England at the time, in a city called Leeds, north of England. And I had a job which I hated. I'm just going to say it like it was. I was absolutely miserable in it. I worked really long hours on top of having to like commute 45 minutes each way to work. So I would pretty much leave in the morning when it was dark, and I would come back in the evening when it was dark, apart from like the couple of months in the summer. I was getting paid next to nothing. I felt like I had all these talents and skills that were just not being utilized. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a position somewhere in your life where you just feel like you're just not seen, you're not being recognized. And it felt like every day I would go to work and I would have to, like, a lot of time at lunchtime, there were these like woods behind my office that I would have to go and like escape for 10 minutes into the woods because I was having like anxiety attacks every single day. And I would just have to go out there to like breathe so I don't start crying in front of like my coworkers. And of course, you have to put on a face and you do your job and you just kind of get on with it. But deep down, I was truly miserable. And yeah, on top of that, also just really broke and working all these hours, not having time, freedom, money. And on top of that, I felt like I was just, I don't know, I felt like at that point I had lived in that city for 7 years, and it got to a point where I just did not want to live there anymore. Like, I don't know if you've ever, or anybody who's listening, maybe you ever lived somewhere you feel like you just got everything you could out of a place and you just felt like it, like you were just done, like there's nothing left for you to get. So I was unhappy in a lot of different ways. On top of the chronic anxiety attacks, I also had really bad sinus issues. I do believe some of it was definitely like stress induced. So I was walking home one day after like a particularly hard day at work, and I was about to get my bus. I didn't have a car. I couldn't afford a car. So I was about to get a bus home, and it was raining and it was cold. I think this was in like start of March. So like still really cold in England. And I missed my bus. I saw my bus drive away without me, and it was cold and it was raining. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to walk home for 45 minutes because I don't know where the next bus is coming. And it was one of those just moments where I was just walking and I was crying and it was raining and I felt like so angry and so frustrated. I had like no idea what I wanted to do. I had no plan, but I just remember just feeling so done, like just so done being underappreciated, so done being underpaid, so done not being like recognized for my skills. And I just like remember walking and just kind of like almost like talking to myself, just being like, I'm done. Like this, like I'm meant for something more. I know that there's something more. I know that like this cannot be all that my life is. Like this is not why I'm here. And just this like energy of just being like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but like something's gonna change. Like I'm just exactly as you said, like I was like, I am done with struggling. I'm done with being underappreciated. I'm done with being in this shitty job that I hate. Like I'm just done. And like I said, it was just more like this energetic deciding, like when every ounce in your being is like, we're changing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing exactly. I don't have a plan, but like, I know that I'm looking for a different job or I'm doing something. And as I kind of made this decision, this is like where the kind of manifestation story comes in. And this is one of the reasons why I teach all about energy and energetics of how to actually create what you want. about a week later, maybe not even a week later, it was so crazy. So he's my husband now. He was just my boyfriend at the time. He he called me and he was like, hey, there's this opportunity. My work would like me to move to Austin, Texas for 3 months, all expenses paid. They would put us up in like a penthouse apartment. They would cover like your visa. Is that something you want to do? And he was like, I'm not going without you. So we either go together or like, I'm not going. I'm not interested in going without you. And it was one of those things where I was so like terrified because there were no guarantees. I didn't really have any money in my bank account. So I would have had to quit my job, like leave everything behind. We had to give up our apartment. We had to find someone to come sublease it. We had to figure out what to do with our things and our cats. And it felt like everything was on the stake for just this like 3-month trip. Like, like all of even though I wasn't happy, I still had some kind of security and all these things. But it was one of those things where it was like, even though it was so scary, I was like, I feel like this is exactly what I like. This is what the universe delivering me what I said. Like I wanted. I was like, I want something more. I remember something more. And then this opportunity just kind of just landed to where, like everything just lined up perfectly. So we decided to go for it. Uh, and yeah, we moved halfway across the world. And at first it was just for 3 months. And then when I was there, I just fell in love. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the people. I felt like it was like the first place I'd ever lived where I felt like I could be fully myself. And I remember the night that I decided that like I didn't want to go back to England. I didn't want to go back and look for another job and work for someone else. And it was like it kind of everything just clicked for me, because even after we moved, I still wasn't exactly sure on my next steps or what we're going to do. And I remember I went to, it was an outdoor yoga class, and it was like a sunset full moon yoga session. There's probably like, it was really big. There's probably like close to 100 people in this park on the hill. Sun was setting. I saw fireflies for the first time in my life because we don't have them in the UK. And I remember like the sun was setting through trees and there's this little fireflies, or I guess some people call them lightning bugs, just kind of like lighting up. And this yoga instructor made us howl at the moon. And I remember just being like, I'm home. Like, this is where I want to live. Like, this is where I want to be. And it kind of like this intuitive inspiration hit me as well. That like I should start my own photography business. That like this is what I should do. I have a couple of months where I have all this time, so I can start doing research. Maybe I could take some courses. I can start setting everything up. Yeah, and then once I decided that kind of shifted everything.
Oh, wow. What a story. I love that so much. And
Yeah,
one of the big things I heard was how scary it was, even though you were miserable. And I think
yeah,
so many people can relate to that. Even though you were miserable, it was still the known.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
universe, bring me something different. It brings it. You're like, wait, that's too much.
And on in a way that it really did feel like that, because it was like, I feel like when I was like that, like I'm done, I want something better. I feel like most people would expect to just like apply and get a better job. It's kind of like something better, but only a little bit better. And instead it was like my whole freaking life shifted. Like it was an opportunity to just start completely fresh, start completely new. I didn't know a soul in Texas apart from my now husband. So yeah, and we had to leave everything behind. We had to like sell all our things, give up our apartment. Our cats went to live with family for a few months. It was like we were literally just like risking it all. And that was terrifying. It was, and I think too, like I love what you said, that I think a lot of people can relate. And I think that's exactly why a lot of people don't actually manifest their dreams, is because when something like that happens, when push comes to shove, it's about really having the courage to go for it, because it's gonna be on the outside of our comfort zone, like for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And The other piece of that is it was probably, like you said, in a way that you never would have expected. And
Oh, yeah.
people like me, like we want to control how we manifest. No, bring it to me this way. Like it
Mm,
doesn't work that way. So I
yeah.
think it's really beautiful that you trusted and you just went all in. And now
Yeah.
look at you.
It was like totally. It was just so funny that like you asked me to share this because I was just reflecting about it this week. Where we live now, we have a beautiful lakeside home that we got to build from scratch and design and create. And I was like having morning cup of tea, like the sun rising through like all our windows, my husband in the next room playing with my baby. And I was just like, wow, like this gets to be my life. And this would have never happened if I played it safe, if I didn't take the risk. But I think a lot of people don't because, like you said, you may not be happy, but it feels comfortable, it feels safe. And like getting out of that comfort zone, doing something we don't know, like we don't have any guarantees, like, is it going to work? It feels kind of like jumping off a cliff a little bit. But I think like that's when I always say it's like co-creating with the universe, manifesting with the universe. And I think to do that, you do have to like surrender a lot of control, which is really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes practice for sure. So what
Yeah.
are some tips you can share with people, whether they're just starting or they know the things but they're not doing them? Like, what are some things they can do to get started manifesting? Do they start with something big, something small? Like, how do they do it?
Okay, so I love what you said, start with something big or something small. If somebody has like never manifested anything or they're only just learning about it, maybe I could just like back up even a little bit more and just kind of what manifestation is. So in manifestation, you're working with this ancient spiritual law called the law of attraction. And there are many spiritual laws, but this is the main one. And there's this belief that whatever you can think and imagine, you can actually create it in your physical reality, and you attract it, you manifest it, right? So I would say probably if you've never done it before, I would say start small. And the reason for that is that it's going to, if you've never done it before, if you're only just learning about it, I know how wild it can sound. I know that it can just sound so crazy that you're like, what? Like, what is this magic? And it can be hard to wrap your head around it, especially if maybe someone's like a little bit more kind of like factual, like, a and B 1+2 type of person. It can feel a little wild, although there have been recently scientific experiments that they've started to actually show that our thoughts like literally that like they create the physical reality and they affect the physical reality. And I think in a year is like, I don't, hopefully in our lifetime, I feel like definitely like in the lifetime of my daughter, I feel like there will be like actual like super facts being like, this is why it works, this is how you do it, because it's coming. But I would say start small to build up your believability. So if you're, just make it a game. Like a lot of people, when it comes to manifesting, they go straight to the really big things. And there's so many different reasons why that doesn't happen, but most of it is because we have all this weight attached to it. So let's say you want to manifest your dream home. With manifestation, in order for it to come as quickly as possible, you need to feel really neutral about it. So some of the work that I do with my clients and my programs and one-on-one is we actually look at this energetic resistance and we remove it so it can come in. But if you're manifesting something really small, like, I don't know, like $1 or like a cup of coffee, like you're not going to care about that. You'll be like, whatever, I get it or I don't get it, I'm fine either way. And that is actually the energy that manifests everything so quickly. But it's really hard to get into that energy with the big things, as well as when you manifest the little things, that all of a sudden you can be like, whoa, okay, that was cool, that worked, let's try something a little bit bigger. So it could even be like, if somebody's listening, like, I would love to invite you to do this little experiment. What if you just picked like 5 random things, like anything? So I don't know, it could be like, let's say I'll pick 5 things, like mermaid, ice cream, penguin, lion, flowers, and just pay attention. Because I've led this experiment in one of my workshops, and it was just wild the amount of people that they would just pick random things. They didn't care anything about it. Next thing they know, they would like open up their Instagram, and the first picture they see is like a picture of a mermaid or like something like that, and they would like share it in the workshop. But I'd be like, I told you. And I feel like it just really helps to build that believability to then be able to manifest bigger things, because you realize that, oh, like it does work. Oh, I am kind of powerful, and it's really cool. And when you do it like this, there's no resistance to it. And then I would say, so I have a whole manifestation method I created called the magnetic manifestation method. I don't have time to really go into it on here, but kind of the very basic 5 steps is something I could maybe talk through a little bit. But the first one would definitely be, if you want to manifest something, you're not going to be able to do it unless you decide, what it is that you want to manifest. Like and funny enough, when we manifested our move, me and my husband would talk about moving to America all the time. So although it felt like it kind of just came out of the blue, it's something that we would like talk about and dream about all the time before it happened. So it really was, we actually manifested it, it was just the timing of it was just kind of worked out really perfect. So decide what it is that you want and make sure that there's a lot of emotion attached to it. So something that, when I say emotion, I mean something you get really excited about. So not emotion like, oh, I need this, or like I really, really need this, I'm desperate to have it, but more so the energy of like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It would be so amazing to have this. Like just something that really ignites something within you, because that's going to be like fuel for your manifestation. And also I like to ask my clients is, when they tell me what they want, and then I'm like, okay, now imagine if there was nobody else right now, you were just on some beautiful island, and I give you a magic wand, and you could have anything that you wanted, and no one would get hurt. It wouldn't affect anybody else in your life. It's just you, and you can create and manifest absolutely anything that you want. And probably like 8 times out of 10, the answer for what they want changes. And sometimes really drastically, because a lot of time we say what we want to what we've been conditioned to believe that we should want, or what our family expects from us, maybe our kids expect from us, our friends, the society, depending what age we're at, maybe we feel like we haven't hit certain goals, so then we say we want them even though deep down we really couldn't care less. And that can be a big thing that blocks manifestations from coming true if they're not actually aligned with who you are and what your soul wants and what you're here to experience.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, that gets down to like below the conscious level, to what's really in there. I love that. That's fantastic. So how do people, you have a couple different ways that you work with people. Can you share some of those with us?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I have a signature 10-week program called Magnetic Abundance that opens up a few times a year, 2 to 3 times a year usually. So I'm currently in the program now, and then we'll be enrolling again, I believe, maybe at the start of summer. I'm not sure exactly. And then inside that program, we go really, really deep. We go, oh my gosh, we cover everything. We look at your subconscious mind. Essentially what I do is, my approach is kind of unique because I combine like really ancient spiritual wisdom along with practical knowledge of the subconscious mind and kind of marry the two. So it's kind of like co-creating with the universe whilst hacking your brain. Which I love it. So we go really deep. So that's one way. I also have a monthly membership that people can join at any time, called Sacred Wild Sisterhood membership. And in that, every month we do sacred circle experiences. I channel these guided soul meditation visualization journeys. We do a lot of energy work. We like actually like get into manifesting in the quantum field with the energetics and bringing it in, which I'm sure you'll know a little bit about that. So that's a monthly membership. It's really accessible for most people. And then that would be also one-on-one work. So I take on a few select clients a year to work one-on-one, and then that gets just completely customized to what they need, to where they're at in their journey. If they have a business, like what are their goals, where they're struggling, and then it just gets tailored to them. So those are the main ways.
I love it so much. And the best way for people to follow you is where? Which platform?
Instagram, that I spend a lot of time on Instagram. So I'm at Manifestation Priestess on Instagram. And I also have a podcast I probably should mention, just because it's like a free offer. So everybody, if you want me in your pocket whilst you're cooking or driving, we have weekly episodes and we talk all things spirituality, mindset, manifestation, all things personal development, all things woo. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And what's that called?
Manifestation Priestess podcast.
Nice. Okay. So I will link all that up in the show notes. Be sure to follow Deimanté. And if you like this video, click thumbs up and click the links in the show notes and follow her, because she is freaking amazing. She's not all fluff. I've heard so many manifestation people like say, stay positive, stay happy. But she's actually working with reality, like your subconscious mind that controls 95% of everything you think, feel, believe, and do.
Yes.
And she's not saying you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I know. People feel like you probably get bummed out. They're like, oh, like, no, you're gonna need to do things.
Yeah,
but I am here to help you that doing the things feels good and nourishing and easeful, rather than, the hustle kind of stressful vibe.
Yeah. And do the things that, I don't know if you know Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zenkina, but she says, do things that don't just feel good to do, but feel good to have done. Because think how proud you are. And this is easy for me. I do a lot of 90-minute hot yoga classes. And a couple days ago, it was 110 degrees, 56% humidity in my class. And I kept thinking that quote, like, this is going to feel so good to have done. I'm going to be so proud of myself. I mean, I felt like such a badass after that. I'm like, warrior, princess.
Yes.
So it's the same thing, right? With the little things that scare the hell out of us. We get to have support by someone like Deimanté and do it.
Yeah.
I feel so proud on the other side.
It is. It's amazing. And it's like your future you is waiting for you to do those moves, and she's rooting for you. She's waiting for you. And it's amazing to get to the other side for sure.
Oh, I love it. Are there any last things that you'd like to say to anybody watching?
Any last things? I think I will say, okay, I'm feeling kind of inspired and called to talk just a little bit about intuition. I think when it comes to manifesting our dream lives and consciously, because everybody's manifesting all the time. Even if you don't even know, you're like, I've never heard of manifestation. Every single human is manifesting all the time. The difference is that everybody is usually manifesting things unconsciously, and you can actually learn how it works and use it to your own advantage. But I will say, I feel like intuition is so important when it comes to manifesting our dreams. Your intuition is going to kind of quietly whisper to you, like, yes, this is it. This is what you should be doing. Yes, this is the step. Yes, this is what you should do. And this like inspired action is going to come through. So I feel like any activities you can do to spend time with your own soul, to get quiet, to maybe spend time in nature, to journal, to just spend some time where you're just not like glued to your phone or Netflix, so you can start to listen to those little intuitive nudges. You're just gonna get manifesting much faster.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I've talked about intuition a lot, and for me, one of the things I say about it is you're gonna feel it in your body, whether it's a hell yes or it's a maybe or a hell no. and maybes are no's, right? Like
Mm,
they're no's. They're not right nows. So
yes,
lean in, create some hell yeses, and then your whole life will be a hell yes.
love
Most,
it.
right? Most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was lovely. I love hearing your story. It's absolutely
Oh, thank you.
mind-blowing. And I have so much respect for you because I know how scary that I can't even imagine. I've never moved to another country, but hats off.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks so much
much.
for
And
having me.
thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.